Greetings and welcome to In-Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. The Ministry of Public Administration will host a pivot from paper to pixels, modernizing the public service. Now, Deputy Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Public Administration, Abigail Bynoe, she joins us to discuss that, among other topics, right now. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Bynoe. It's a powerful name, but give us a little idea of the rationale behind it, please.
Well, DK, hello to all viewing audiences. Public Service Day has been designated as June 23rd by the United Nations, and it's a day to celebrate the development of the public service and its contribution to the country. So the symposium is our flagship event, and what we're trying to do as a ministry with responsibility for the public service and the modernization of the public service is to just spotlight a few of the areas where we are engaging in modernization activities. And of course, you can't speak modernization without digital transformation. So we're going to be sharing from the Ministry of Trade, the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Digital Transformation, just a few initiatives that they will be undertaking in their digitalization programs, moving us from the paper to the pixels, the computer age.
I like the fact that you speak about sharing as well, and naturally not everyone will be able to attend. So I'm wondering, what is in place for persons to see it possibly at a later date, view remotely, etc.?
Absolutely. So it's Friday. It begins at 9:30 a.m. For those who are going to be following it live, it will be live streamed on Facebook. But if you wish to see it again, obviously that will be available on the media that we will have on our website, www.mpa.gov.tt. It will also be on 2 of our radio stations as well.
So we know the time, we know the date. What are some of the things that will be happening during the day? Give us a little bit of an agenda or itinerary, thanks.
Certainly. We have Mr. Gerard Noto, who is the UNDP representative, who will bring opening remarks. As you know, it is a UN designated Public Service Day. We have a feature address from the Minister of Public Administration, Senator the Honorable Alison West. Following that, we'll have a panel discussion with 3 of the ministers that I shared with you: Minister of Trade, Minister of Education, Minister of Digital Transformation. And we also have on that panel a representative from the Inter-American Development Bank, Mr. Arturo Muente Kunugami, and a representative from the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Commerce, the Vice President of Digital Business and Technology Committee, Mr. Kirk Henry. And the panel will, again, the ministries will be sharing some of their digitalization initiatives. But the panel discussion will talk about what is modernization in other countries and other regions of the world, and how they see us modernizing here in Trinidad and Tobago for the benefit, again, of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
And how important
is it that
one
of the things that I wanted to share a bit more about the fact that all 1.4 million of the population consume public services every day, from the public roads that we drive on to the public utilities, whether it's water, electricity, and now recently the internet. Every day, people are consuming public services. And it's not just necessarily the ID services, your passport, your driver's permit, or from the EDC where you might get your national ID card. A number of services: education, health, consumed in large quantities, transport, of course, public transport. And so we have to remember that there are 100,000 of us strong, 30,000 civil servants, 65,000 if you want to count the public service when we look at the teachers and the police service, etc. And if you count the wider public sector, all serving that 1.4 population here in Trinidad, and of course diaspora and our visitors coming into the country. So the public service is huge. We can only do a snapshot on a day like UN Public Service Day, but it is just to share that we are aware that we need to modernize and deliver more conveniently, more accessible, more reliable services to all that we serve.
And it's interesting that you say that, and I want to build off of that point, thank you, because it seems as though, on the one hand, the public service and public sector do so much and carry so much of the load, but on the other hand, if anybody going and get abused is because somebody from the public sector, the back need to be broad because there's a lot of abusing.
Yes.
So in terms of that, celebrating the value and virtue of public service to the community, is there anything apart from that digital transformation aspect that will help to celebrate the members of the community more, that you see already even before the symposium is held?
Yes. So after the panel discussion, what we will have is an awards ceremony where we will award 20 deserving public officers who have been nominated by their peers in terms of their customer service excellence, their public service excellence, and how they've been applying professionalism, how they've been creative and innovative on the job, how they've been customer focused in the way that they're carrying out their work, and they would be honored at the award ceremony together at the symposium. So panel followed by the award ceremony. And of course, they will be presented with a token of appreciation for their public service excellence.
I think it's always nice because sometimes when you do what you're supposed to do and you do it well, people will say, well, okay, well, that's what you're supposed to do. As opposed to when the coin is flipped, you hear about that ad nauseum to no end. But I think in terms of like giving that acknowledgement, and I think it may be even more special to the awardees because it was going to be determined by their peers, which also says something. But I'm wondering.
Yes, that's indeed very special that it's their peers who have been looking on at how they have been servicing the population over a period of a year. This is not a one-time good service experience. This is how this person has been providing service.
And in terms of how that person has been providing that service. And we take a short break, we come back with more. We are looking at a Public Service Day 2023. We are speaking with Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Public Administration, Abigail Bynoe. Stay with us, we return with more. Welcome back. We are speaking about events revolving around Public Service Day 2023. We're doing so with Deputy Permanent Secretary Abigail Bynoe. And Ms. Bynoe, there was a break, about a 3-year break because of the pandemic before this in-person type of event. But what are some of the things that we can be looking forward to that may not have happened before, in terms of like the ministry broadening its scope with what it's doing now?
Okay, well, in addition to that feature event on Friday, 23rd, the ministry is having a special training and development intervention on Thursday, 22nd. And it's a customer service excellence and ethics in a digitalized workplace workshop. We'll have 23 or so public servants who are selected, and we want to ensure that we are carrying out our mandate for learning and development in the public service, but a specific program, interactive workshop, where we will be ensuring that our public servants are up to date with the kind of customer service and ethics we expect for them in the modern workplace. As you know, technology presents some interesting ethical dilemmas for some persons. A more relaxed way of operating also sometimes presents interesting dilemmas. So that workshop will be on Thursday, the 22nd. And on Wednesday, the 21st, all members of the public are invited to come on down to the Hyatt Regency Port of Spain Ballroom. We will be hosting a public service expo. Again, no more COVID, so we can have in-person events. A public service expo. We have 19 ministries that are going to be having booths and sharing with members of the public the various services that they offer to the citizenry. There will be an opportunity for young persons to appreciate some of the careers because we have some of the most interesting careers in the public service. And of course, fun things, games, and lots of giveaways and opportunities to win really fantastic prizes. So we invite members of the public to come to the Hyatt Port of Spain Ballroom Wednesday 21st from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and enjoy our expo and career fair.
And I like what I'm hearing thus far because it's always nice to have different ministries in the same space so you're able to get information from them and so people can engage with them. And you know, sometimes you only know about one and this person is saying, okay, well, then you need to go, and you possibly may not even know where they're located, even though we're trying to get away from having to physically visit every time you go. But that point of careers and people making their careers and seeing public service as something that is viable. I want you to touch on that a little bit again, please. Apart from that saying is interesting, what are some of those things that you really think will be pushed on the day, on the 21st?
Right. So it wasn't just enough to talk about the services that we provide, but also share, especially since we have invited some schools to come to the expo to share the very interesting careers that you have in the public service. So each booth will be able to share for their respective ministry the different kinds of jobs that are available in their respective ministry, department, or agency. So yes, everybody knows about teachers and policemen and fire servicemen, but what about being a forensic scientist? What about being an agricultural economist? What about being a doctor, a teacher of a veterinarian school, and different very unique jobs? We in the Ministry of Public Administration, we actually have a property portfolio, and so there are jobs that I get about property development and administration of properties and allocation of properties for different users, facilities management, and the list goes on. I mean, it's just going to be so interesting. So persons who haven't, I mean, and again, it's also going to be available by different ministries on their websites. But this is the day to come in one space and take it all in. And we're there to really highlight again the complexity, the breadth in which the public service operates, and the very many opportunities persons have for very enlightening and fulfilling careers outside of what they might consider the norm.
Well, Ms.
And of
Bynoe, you're
course, it's
talking to me, and
developing the
I'm being
country.
surprised right now because I'm thinking some of those job descriptions or the job titles that you called, I didn't realize that they were possible being part of the public service. I thought it was something that, okay, well, you had to be in the private service to be that, private sector to do that.
Not at all, Dike. And you know, it's the range of jobs and because of the range of the services that the public service is into, it's absolutely, I mean, we are the largest employer, so there's nobody else who can compete with us when it comes to the range and diversity of jobs in the public service. And as we move into a more digital age, we're going to see those jobs transform because that's part of what the Ministry of Public Administration does. You know, we create the human resource structures and jobs that all ministries and departments have to be able to use. So you're going to see the technology aspect creeping in, and where there's hybrid and cross skills and qualifications that are needed to carry out the jobs of the future.
And going back to the symposium on the 23rd, is there an ideal cohort or target audience that you're looking forward to? What does that person look like, or what? I even want to know what defines success with it as being part of the symposium.
So for the expo, we absolutely want any member of the public, and we want persons in school to be a part of the target audience who's going to come and be able to see the expo. For the symposium, same thing. We really, really want the members of the public to come online and share and hear about how we are modernizing for their benefit and to understand what their part is in the journey towards creating some of the more modern service delivery aspects that we are seeking to pursue. So, members of the public, of course, we want our 100,000 public sector persons as well to be part of hearing about it, because one of the things that we don't do enough of is sharing internally. So we want to be able to have that information within the public sector as well as in the general population. So, of course, the business community as well, because we have trade on the panel for the symposium. I'm sure businessmen would want to be able to appreciate some of the developments that are coming their way for their operations.
And looking at that, you just spoke about internal sharing, but I also want to go back to something that you said in the first half of the conversation and ask how important is it to be able to get regional examples and references of what takes place in the public sector, in the public service, and to say, okay, well, this is where we are as relates to this other jurisdiction. These are some of the things that we can take away. These are some of the things that we're doing well that we can just tweak a little bit. How important is it to get that broader reference point from which to move forward?
I think the public gets a lot of information coming their way. A lot of it is probably North American, maybe sometimes even European. And sometimes they get the regional information, what's happening primarily in Barbados or Jamaica or so. And we might feel that as a member of public that they are developing faster than us, or they're doing something really innovative that we Trinidad just haven't gotten around to. Or it might be vice versa. They might feel Trinidad and Tobago is, we are more cutting edge than maybe Barbados and Jamaica. It's really important in the region to be able to have some benchmarks, to be able to have some references, to see how we are developing, if we are developing at the same pace, if we are lagging behind. But we are looked upon by the rest of the world as more or less sometimes one region, although there's quite a bit of differences in how some of the things that we do, how you might rate them. But I think it's very important to appreciate our development journey as opposed to another country in the region, and to take from it twofold, right? Take from it where they've been able to accelerate or go at a faster pace from us, and maybe how we could try to do that, because sometimes it's something that it is within our control. Or take away from it, they went along this path and it didn't quite maybe work the way that it was, so maybe it's a lesson for us or something for us to program so that we don't make the same mistake. Either way, it's all about developing together, looking for synergies, looking to learn from each other, and where possible, again, it's all about if one country can develop, the entire region benefits because we are a member of the CARICOM community. Yeah.
And we want to thank you for that in terms of giving us that insight. And if someone wants to go back and get some of that information, we encourage you to go to or to visit www.mpa.gov.tt, or you can email publicserviceweek@gov.tt. Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Public Administration, Abigail Bynoe, thank you very much for your time. This has been In Depth with me, Dike Rostant. On behalf of the entire TTT News team, thank you so much for joining us.